we are going to follow part of the original path that the children used to follow with their flock. They came from the hamlet of Aljustrel, they came down this way to the little valleys, to Valinhos, and then they would go straight ahead towards your left-hand side, and then after a while they would make a shortcut in order to take the direction towards Cova da Iria, where nowadays we have the shrine area and where they spend the whole day with their flock, only to return back again at the end of the day. Nowadays, along part of this path, we follow the Stations of the Cross. A little further on, we are going to speak about the Stations of the Cross. We are just going to see some of them along our way, because the whole way of the cross, the first station starts not too far from the square where this morning we saw the big monument to the Little Shepherd. So, like Virgin Mary, which is exactly placed here to remind us that this is the right spot where the children saw the Virgin Mary during the fourth apparition. You all know that the Virgin Mary appeared in 1917, always on the 13th of the month, from May until October, with the exception of the month of August, which corresponds to the fourth apparition of the Virgin Mary, where the children did not happen to see the Virgin Mary on the usual place down in Cova da Iria, where nowadays we have the construction of the Apparitions Chapel, where we had the Rosary last night, and instead they saw the Virgin Mary here, and that's also the apparition where the Virgin Mary did not appear on the usual 13th of the month, but on the 19th instead. And why was it like that? Because if you remember, when we were visiting the home of Jacinta and Francisco, I mentioned to you that after the third apparition, which occurred on July the 13th, the newspaper started spreading around Portugal the news about that something was happening here to these three little shepherds, and that's the time when we started having the authorities, ecclesiastical and political authorities, coming here with the purpose of interrogating the children. Fatima, as we know by now as well, was at the time a very small place, aside from everything, not even connected by road to any important city or town, and at the time the closest town to Fatima was a town staying behind us towards the hillside, which is the town of Orem. And the government told the administrator, the governor of the town of Orem, to come to Fatima with the purpose of interrogating the children, because in the meantime several other people had come here with the purpose of interrogating them. One time he came, he interrogated the children, but the children kept on insisting. He was trying to figure out how far were they telling the truth or not. And the children kept on saying that they were seeing this lady was saying she was coming from heaven, she was requesting from them to pray the rosary every day, to offer sacrifices for the conversion of poor sinners, and to pray the rosary in order for the Virgin Mary to intercede for all of us, to bring peace to the world. And seeing that they were not denying anything, in order to try to frighten and to scare them, he did it on purpose, and he took the children to the town of Orem on the 13th of the month, and he placed them inside the jail compartment. Obviously, they were children, they could not be going to jail like this and stay there forever, but this was a way of trying to frighten them, to figure out how far were they really telling the truth or not. So, around 12 noon, they usually saw the Virgin Mary around 12 noon, and as Lucia should be writing and saying later on, they always knew when it was the right time for the Blessed Mother to come, because they could feel such a great joy, even hard to explain inside their hearts, that this was for them the sign that they were going to see the Blessed Mother. So on the 13th of the month, they were inside the jail compartment, and around 12 noon, they started praying the rosary. When the children were placed inside the jail compartment, they were placed there together with two gentlemen that were accused of theft. And when they decided to start praying the rosary, Jacinta, the little one, the one that shows up like this on the pictures, told the gentleman, "Get your hats out of your head and kneel down, because we are going to pray the rosary." So she really knew her job. And they prayed the rosary, and after that, they got so sad because in their hearts they were convinced that the Virgin Mary came here to Fatima, and because they were not here, the Virgin Mary got so upset and disappointed at the same time that they thought they were never going to see the Blessed Mother again. And they started crying because of this. Then the administrator came, he interrogated them again, he told them that if they were not going to stop with this story, they were going to die, because he said, I'm going to fry you in hot olive oil. And Jacinta told the others, be not afraid of dying, because the lady said she was going to take us with her to heaven. Anyway, to make the story short, after a while, and seeing that the children kept on saying exactly the same thing, they were then not denying anything, the administrator had no other chance than releasing them. They were released, and on August the 19th, for some reason, Jacinta stood home that morning. Only Francisco, Lucia, and the brother of Jacinta and Francisco, whose name was João, the three of them were looking after the sheep. And they were not too far away from the place where our driver Pedro left us, when Lucia told Francisco, Francisco, the lady is going to come, and Jacinta is not here. So she told her other little cousin, the other brother of Jacinta and Francisco, João, ran home and called Jacinta. But you know how children are. He said, no, if you are going to see something, I want to stay and see as well. So they start kind of saying, you go, I go, you go, I go. Finally, Lucia was able to convince him to run back home. He called Jacinta, and when Jacinta
You
arrived,
know how he called, you know how
she gave him 2 coins.
Yeah, right. She bribed him.
coins. Yeah.
She gave him 2 coins. She gave him 2 coins.
He went.
She gave him the coins, he ran. And when Jacinta came back here, the Blessed in this place. During the 4th apparition, again, the Virgin Mary said, too many souls get lost into the fires of hell because there is nobody to pray for them, praying for them here on earth. And the Virgin Mary also said, each time you pray one of the decades of your rosary, do not forget to say these words. O my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell, lead all souls to heaven, especially those who most need thy mercy. And these words of the Blessed Mother are the ones that we see engraved on this stone. From here you don't see, but don't worry, because we will go this way, and on the way back to the bus we will come down the ramp and you will be able to see it right there.
Right. Oh my gosh, that is fantastic.
And also here, you can begin to see the mystery of evil also operating against the message of Fatima. As the 3 children were in jail, they were tortured psychologically for 3 days, and they were also convinced that they would die at there, because the administrator of the Villanova de Orem took one by one separate room and made that person, that child, shout so that the others would think that he was being fried
Right.
at the place where they have the olive oil
Yeah.
in a big vase or something.
What was the name of that guy in America?
Yes. I don't remember right now, but I want to talk about him something. He not only did this because he was atheistic, he was a Freemason too, see? And he also died without penance. He died denying the supernatural. He denied faith in the church, faith in God. He was offered the sacraments at his bed, and he said no. He saw the miracle of the sun. He was a witness. It is registered, his witnessing that he said that he cannot explain what happened. or that he refused that he would be God, because for him, God, the Catholic God preached by the Church does not exist. See, this reminds me of the letter written by John Paul II about the mystery of evil. That force is there always, you see, trying to destroy God's work, and God permits it. That's a mystery.
There's a
see?
mystery, right?
It's a mystery.
So
It is
Father-
not that they are so
Father Andrew,
powerful
we're
that
talking
they
about
can
that.
confront God. No way.
Yeah.
God could destroy them in a fraction of a second with one word. Or he wants to use that mystery as an instrument to prove us to become closer to him and uh, to follow Jesus Christ. It's the only way we can prove ourselves and our own merits. But you see, it's a mystery because often this evil presence can reduce the graces received by us. That's the real bad part of it. Our Lady said that because of the evilness of people, because of the evilness that treated in such a hard way the three children when they were 3 days in jail because of the administrator. Because of that, the miracle of the Son would be diminished. You see? The miracle was seen in 250 kilometers in a diameter, in a perimeter of 250 kilometers, not only by people in Fatima, but by all people
Sure.
in that perimeter. You see? Freemasons saw it. Priests saw it. Priests, members of the hierarchy of the church saw it. Photographers, it was photographed, saw it. Journalists saw it. The common people saw it. See? Nobody could explain it. There is no possibility of a mass psychological hallucination because all the roads were full of mud and water. It has been raining for 3 days. The famous triads of Fatima, everything comes in three. That's the Holy Trinity.
Right,
you see?
of course. Yeah.
Yes. Everything comes in three. For 3 days it has been raining, and there was flood in some places, and everything was immediately
So,
soaked. The miracle was for 15 minutes. For 15 minutes. See?
You think it would have seen by the whole world had it not been for what happened to the children, perhaps?
I'm not saying for the whole world, but Our Lady was very clear. It was diminished because of evilness. See? So this is a great lesson for us, that always there is an evil presence, even to the children. In this same place, maybe you would like to point to that place, maybe not, I don't know. But in this same place, Francisco had the vision of the devil. See, the devil persecuting them, trying to harm them, so that they will not come to this place anymore. Because
I
they
didn't know
saw
about that.
such a monster that they would never come again, so that they will not encounter Our Lady. You see? So this also happened, and God permitted it. You see? So this is why we have to learn from these lessons that this is a spiritual battle between the forces of good and evil. At the end, good will triumph, but sometimes it is the time of evil, of evilness, and sometimes it will appear that evil will triumph, but that's a fake. It's just to confuse us, and the power of evil resides on palabra miedo.
Fear.
Fear, thank you. Fear. If you have fear, then evil is powerful.
Yes.
That is
I know
why
that
the
by
Holy Father John
experience.
Paul II so many times said, Do not have fear. Do not have fear. Do not have fear. See, don't be afraid, because this is the way that evil has some power. See?
Even in animals. I mean, they sense your fear,
Yes, yes.
they just lunge.
He devoted that newsletter to the miracle of the sun. There was a committee formed by scientists all over the world to study the miracle of the sun. So he published the conclusions of that investigation, and it was nice that he is proposing all Fatima apostolates to focus on presenting the miracle of the sun as a witness of the existence of God to these societies that we have now that do not want to accept the existence of God. You know that in Europe, even the constitution of the European community has put out the existence of God. So by this miracle, who was witnesses so well, who is historically so well studied, and critics and historians cannot deny that this happened here, we can really promote the message of Fatima in those circles of people that do not believe in God, you see. So if you have the time to ask for that newsletter, I probably Nuno has them at the secretariat, and they will be open on Monday. If you want to have a copy of that, it's 4 or 7 pages, I don't know.
Who is it again?
Father Condor's newsletter.
Yeah.
I think we get that.
The boys decided to go out and and at one point when the troops were staying, we could see that whole field. He said, and we both shouted out, "Hail Mary!" We scared this herd of deer. They all went, "Wow!" You know, jumping away. You know, hightailing it down the road.
I could have got look at that.
Donations of a big community of Hungarian people, mainly residing along different states of the United States, that gathered the money and offered it to the Shrine of Fatima in order for a big way of the Stations of the Cross to be built here. Because until 1959, the only Stations of the Cross we have are some that I will show you this afternoon in tile panels that can be found on the sides of the arcades of the Basilica of Fatima. These Stations of the Cross end up on top of one of the hills with the Chapel of the Calvary that we call as the Hungarian Calvary Chapel. And there's a very special meaning concerning the construction of these Stations of the Cross by the Hungarian people. Because, as you know, during the Second World War, Portugal was a neutral country. So we did not enter the war, and at that time, Portugal, because it was a neutral country, it was a country where many people tried to hide, especially Jewish people, and it was also a country where we were able to receive within our families many children refugee from the war. And we received here children from different European countries. And among all those many children that came many children from Austria and also several children from Hungary. And later on, the Hungarian community, in a symbolic way of showing their gratitude to Portugal, and especially an Hungarian Catholic community residing in the United States, as I said, they gathered the money and they offered it to the Shrine of Fatima for the Stations of the Cross to be
And also it was meant to be a way to remember the Church of Silence, the Church of the Eastern European countries that for so many years suffered persecution, so that they will be remembered in the prayers of Fatima until their liberation, which later occurred.
And a little historical note, the crown of St. Stephen is the most precious relic in all of Hungary. And right after World War II, when the United States could see that the communists were going to take over Hungary, we sent agents into Hungary to rescue the crown of St. Stephen. And those agents were my agents. And they brought it out of Hungary, and we put it in Fort Knox in the United States, in a vault, one of the most secure vaults that we had. And we kept it in there until I think it was 1978. And only then did we return it to Hungary. We had a couple of our agents take it out of Fort Knox and bring it back to Hungary to honor the Hungarian people and stuff like that. Not the communists, but the Hungarian people.
Have you lived in this area all of your life?
I don't live here. I live in Lis.
No, Víctor, el otro lado.
Scampering around.
Jumping from rock to rock.
You know, I went to the Beatitudes.
Kind of local expression that we use to call a rocky place. Loca in Portuguese has nothing to do with nati. That's loca with you. Loca means exactly this, a rocky place. And the cabeço is a place where the rocks have a kind of round shape. So the children used to come here, and no wonder that this was the place chosen for the apparition, the first and the third apparition of the angel. Professor Ortiz was just speaking about not being afraid. And the first words that the angel addressed to the children on the first apparition were, be not afraid. Where you see written, não temais in Portuguese means, be not afraid. I am the angel of peace, pray with me. And engraved on that stone, you see the prayer, one of the prayers that the angel taught the children. My God, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love you, and I ask pardon for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love you. The angel appeared then the second time by the well, and back again, the angel appeared here the third time. Here, that the angel gave communion to the children, okay? And there's another thing I would like to remind you. It's very interesting when it comes to speak about angels. People always get very curious about how do the angels look like and so on. And when Lucia wrote down in her memoirs, she started writing down the memoirs later on in the late years 30, she mentioned for the first time about these apparitions of the angel that occurred in the year of 1916. And it's very interesting when you read that, when you see the way Lucia described the angel, because she never said, we saw a young boy, or no, the way she says she saw it is, she said that she saw the rays of sun, a crystal pierced by the rays of sun, revealing, this is important, the word revealing, the form of a young man. She didn't say, we saw a young man like this or like that. And then the angel addressed to them in the way I just mentioned to you. Then they saw the angel the second time by the well, and back again the third time when the angel came here. She said the following: we saw the same angel we had previously seen holding in his hand a chalice surmounted by a host. He left the chalice and the host suspended in the air. From the host, she said they could see some drops of blood falling into the chalice. He left them suspended in the air. He prostrated himself on the ground. And Lucia says, and we, led by the same supernatural impulse, prostrated ourselves on the ground the same way. We repeated the words which we heard him pronounce. And after that, Lucia says that that's when the angel gave communion to the children. Okay?
It's amazing, gratifying what the Holy Father had promulgated in the church.
Yeah.
See, I had heard that the angel gave the host to Lucia because she had already received first communion.
And the contents of the chalice to Jacinta and
To Jacinta
Oh,
and
right.
Francisco, yeah. Because they hadn't received, right,
Yes,
but they received then.
yes.
And wasn't there some document about the priest had noticed there was chalice?
No, that's not fundamental at all. That's a problem. You see, that comes from a book that I don't want to mention.
Yeah, I know.
Don't-
Crazy book.
Don't give any credit to that, okay? This was a mystical communion. Okay, so it is not true that the angel went to a palace.
Oh, no.
That's what I heard
And
that
then the
story.
priest
No, he took a host.
This would come to
That's a mystical communion.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard. Because he said that angels do not have the power of priesthood, and therefore they could
they don't have to power, put some bread and wine into the body and blood of Jesus Christ. Of course, that's correct. But this came from heaven.
The altar of God.
Remember that Eucharist is also in heaven.
But Almighty God, we pray that your angel may take this sacrifice to your will. What I was sharing with you last night, it drives me crazy when I see books that are supposedly
Reduce the credibility of Fatima.
right.
Because of these things, other people who might be believers in Fatima are not.
Exactly.
Because they have seen those books and they said these people are lunatics.
And people are
cannot be
lazy
there.
because they simply won't investigate further than their first encounter with something.
Yes.
And if people would just simply trust the church and do a deeper investigation, they'd find out
Yeah.
that, wait a minute, I've been misled, or I need to look at this thing better, or whatever, you know.
The angel is the guardian angel of Portugal. An angel devoted to peace. Period. Don't try to give a name to the angel. It is true that Saint Michael Archangel is the patron saint of Portugal, but that doesn't mean that the angel of Fatima is Saint Michael. You see, we are not supposed to do that. This was not revealed. We are altering the revelation of Fatima. This is not the authentic message. See? But we know the angel is the angel of Portugal, the angel of peace. Period. That's enough.
Right.
We don't need any more. See? Because doing the devil's work. Because we are diminishing the authentic credibility of Fatima to the scientific world, to the scholars. Then they would think that Fatima has no merit.
Well, that's what they want to believe anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
doing everything that they can in
That's why
their
they
power
do
to try
that.
and prove that.
Yes,
And all we do is by running down the path of these spurious things,
yes,
we had fueled the fire for them.
that's true.
But it is important in our own publications that
What,
we.
what,
put
what
our
I
right
would
mystical
say
things.
here,
Well,
what I would
whatever
like to
America
say
says,
here,
you know.
Because we don't have that.
You see,
I have never heard that before.
the,
and it's in
the
none of
important
our-
thing here is reverence. This is the lesson here, you
Right.
see? Reverence.
Right.
The angel taught the children not only by words, but by gestures, and by prostrating in the floor in the same way that the candidate to the priesthood
Right.
is
That's right.
prostrated when he is ordained by the bishop. When prayer of the Holy Spirit is said by the bishop to ask the Holy Spirit to come to this newly ordained priest. This is what the angel taught them, the sense of the supernatural. From that moment on, their interior life was enriched because they had a new sense of God.
Right.
So this is why this place is so sacred, so and also so supernatural.
Beautiful.
It gives me the sense of energy. I don't know. I come here and I receive peace, but I also receive energy to do the apostolic endeavors that we are supposed to do, because here there is a special presence of God.
Beautiful.
Us to Jesus.
Speaking of taking us by the hand, glory. Exactly.
Just followed anything that popped up in his, throughout that came after Fatima. Mentality of, I don't know, it kind of had to it.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah, but you could have with me in it. I wouldn't have-
First the cemetery and then I'll see if I can try to go.
But it wasn't there. She said that your intro.
This one here, where Jacinta and Francisco were buried, and all these texts that you have here in Portuguese says exactly what I was telling you on the bus. First of all, it says that here have rested the mortal remainings of Francisco and Jacinta Marto, April of 1919, and exhumed on February the 17th of 1950. That's the same thing for Jacinta, with the difference that here it says that the body of Jacinta and of Jacinta and Francisco and sisters-in-law.
And Lucia's mother is here too?
No, Lucia's mother is a little further down, close to the wall. There.
What is the skull and crossbones thing there?
Over there. We cremate. But cremation in our country is something very recent. So the majority of our cemeteries are not even prepared to cremate bodies. And even though we have cremation, most people still want to be buried on the ground.
Very nice.
Most of
Here we also have the stone of several international leaders of the Portugal town. Maybe see some of them if we walk by here. I can show you. First one is here. A memoria do saudoso director do ejército. He was the director of the Blue Army in Portugal. The other one is the photograph, but not the name.
Wait, it won't be hard for them to figure out. Maybe they'll put it right there now.
Amerigo? Will they have a spot picked out?
Francisco was always very firm in everything since the beginning. And first he was interrogated by the police, then he was interrogated by the authorities, and he kept on saying the following: what my children saw or not, I don't know. One thing I'm absolutely sure, my children don't lie. And he always said the same thing. He was very firm.
Pastoral plan. We welcome the pastoral plan. The diocese is pastoral plan. We read welcome as a And we also say, it was my time was not the God of Mary. This is really, the pledge of the wife is the renewal of our baptismal promises. Because that's what salvation to God through Mary is. So we always have to think about that. This is not an emotion, you see? This is not a private thing to do. The renewal of the pledge to Our Lady of Fatima resembles the renewal of the pledge of our baptismal promises. It is a way to convert ourselves, to be better Christians, to really renew our spiritual life. Oh Señora mía, oh Madre mía, yo me entrego de todo
This is the new church they're building. Mostly underground. Yes.
Shall we come this way, please?
They're leaving, Marie.
And as I was explaining this morning, this used to be the place where the little shepherds used to come with their flock, because you remember Lucia's mother was the owner of a very little plot of land not too far away from the place where we have the stairway to the basilica. Close, I will show you the right area where she used to have the little plot of land. All this where we are now, it was exactly the same like we saw this morning when we were visiting Valinhos. You remember we were following part of the original path the children used to follow, the same kind of rocky ground, the same kind of trees, same kind of landscape. Obviously that after we started having permission to build first a chapel here and later on with the construction of the basilica, most of the trees had to be cut in order to open up all this long area of esplanade that used to go as far as the main road. You remember we passed with the bus beyond the new basilica that is under construction, and what we call the long esplanade, which is like this big square here, goes until that main road we just came through. And on the big feast days, only in this esplanade, before we started the construction of the basilica, we could house nearly 300 people. Okay, it's getting really full. And that's what happened in 1982, in 1991, and in the year 2000 when the Holy Father John Paul II came to Portugal and honored us with his visiting. But no longer we will be able to have so many people here, since part of the esplanade is now being occupied by the construction of the new church, and it's going to be a future basilica as we hope. Another thing I want to do.
Biggest square of any
Yes, this is the largest square, yes, and much bigger than the Vatican, yes, and even bigger than the of the Shrine of Our Lady of Lourdes, yes. On your side, if you look on the ground, there's a long white line where you see people walking on your knees. Are you following what I'm saying? Yes? Okay. You see many times people walking on their knees in Fatima for one reason. We started having this after a war that took place in between Portugal, an old former colony of Portugal, which used to be an African country that we know by the name of Angola. Many soldiers left from here, from the continent, to fight in Angola, and at that time, the mothers, well, the grandmothers, the sisters, the girlfriends, the wives, and so on, used to come to Fatima to ask the Virgin Mary to protect them while they were in the war, and they used to start walking the last part of the way on their knees. You remember yesterday I was saying that within the Portuguese we maintain the tradition for walking at least once in a time from home as far as Fatima. The last part of the way is to the chapel on their knees, okay? And this is the reason why even nowadays you keep seeing so many people walking on their knees, but also, as I was mentioning yesterday on the bus, not necessarily all of them are coming to ask graces from the Virgin Mary. Some of them are doing that to say thank you to the Virgin Mary for the graces and the miracles that they received through her intercession. Oh, you see many ladies and carrying babies, many baby ladies carrying the babies.
Oh.
After we finish of the new basilica, and the next time you come, I hope everything is going to be ready. The path for the pilgrims to walk on their knees goes a little further up beyond the fence, and we are going to place back there again the statue of Pope Pius X, like it used to be right there at the very beginning of the way of pilgrims walking on their knees. The same way that I'm sure the ones of you that had the chance of visiting Fatima before, you remember that on the of the esplanade, there used to be a very, very high cross. The cross is kept while the works are going on. We are going to bring the cross. The cross is going to stay on the left-hand side of the entrance of the new church, because that's the cross that we symbolically placed in the shrine during the Jubilee of the year 1950. 1951 was the closing of the Holy Year, and we placed that cross here in the shrine. So many pilgrims remember, because the cross has been here since ever, and we are going to put it back again here together with the statue of bishops that were contemporary to the apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima in these lands. Okay? If you have during the tour any question, anything you would like to ask, please just ask. Okay?
Do the doves?
Do the doves flying around the circle?
Just to say that
Please.
this is a place of faith, a place of prayer, and what we can witness is the faith of people. As we all know, Our Lady said that in Portugal, the dogma of faith will never be lost. So it was like an assurance from heaven that Portugal will always keep their faith. It is not easy. There are trials in the middle of it. For example, just a week before the Worldwide Day of Prayer for the Sanctity of Life, there was the issue of the referendum to approve abortion here in Portugal. Or you see, it was defeated, and the Portuguese press here in Portugal published an interview made in front of me to Bishop Seraphim just before the statue, after blessing the statue of our Mother of the Life Within, that where he spoke about the necessity of defending the culture of life and putting Fatima as an example of it. And you see, when these chords are touched, they are deep in the heart of many, many, many Portuguese people, and I think that the referendum was won by the culture of life because of this appeal of the bishops everywhere in Portugal to be faithful to their roots and to their tradition and to what they have received here in Fatima. It would be like a treason to Our Lady to become another country that would approve abortion freely and the gay marriages and everything else that so many European countries are approving today. So if we want to know why this will not happen in Portugal, you just have to open your eyes and see the pilgrims in their way, kneeling and praying to Our Lady, giving thanks for the graces received, or asking for other graces. And when we have all the graces in the package. Yeah.
Well, you know, one thing very different here than Italy struck me just at the airport.
Yes.
More children. You see children all over. You don't see it in Italy. You hardly saw children. It's really a shame.
The birth rate is way down.
So it's because the mother brings life. She is the one who gave life to life itself. I am the way.
There is a stand, there's like a table, and you see different sizes of candles. Nobody's going to be there to sell the candles for you. That place is open 24 hours a day. You just leave your donation at the donation box and you pick up the candles according to your please. There are different kinds, different sizes of candles.
Behind the chapel, and there they can enter. It is so well done that they have the pathway already behind the chapel so that they could go around the site of the apparition, around the statue.
Oh, on the inside of the
They
fence?
won't be disturbed. Yes, they will be inside. Those are the ones that you see inside.
Ah.
Yeah. But they go behind to enter the.
Oh, I see. That's why I want to see. Okay, sure. I don't want to. No problem. No problem. It's lunchtime. No, yeah, dinner time.
All right.
Come this way, please. No, no problem. I'll do that.
Is that
for
all
you.
right?
Yes, sure. You be so kind to come this way. We are going to stay right here. Marble column is marked in the right spot where there used to be the tree on top of which the children saw the Virgin Mary. There are many stories about the tree, but we know that the tree, because of its small size and because of the crowds that gathered here, the tree, the children, as you know, saw the Virgin Mary for the first time on May and the last time on October the 13th. By the end of October of the same year of 1917, the tree did no longer exist. The only thing that was left was the trunk of the tree. Because everybody took a leaf and a piece and a branch, the story is always the same, and the tree was gone. With the trunk left, at the very beginning they made a cross that they placed at the same time, and much later on and throughout the centuries, because we made some renovations in the Shrine of Fatima, at last it was decided that we should put the Virgin Mary on the right spot where the children had seen her, and they built a white marble column, which is nowadays the petition box. If you brought petitions from home, or if you would like to write down your own petitions, the petitions are placed inside that white marble column, but we can't look up there. You have to give your petitions to the sacristan of the chapel or to one of our priests, and the priests or the sacristans are allowed to walk into the altar and they drop the petitions into that box. These people were so poor that the Virgin Mary appeared in 1917, and only 2 years after, only in 1919, they had gathered enough money to build a tiny chapel. This is not the first chapel that was built here. This is the second one, because the first chapel that was built in Fatima was then destroyed by some anarchists, some republicans that were absolutely against the Catholic faith, and that had in mind, well, I cannot compete with that beautiful voice, and that had in mind that this was a story invented by some people. So one night, because we had nobody living in the neighboring area, these were nothing but fields, they came, they threw a bomb that was made, and over the chapel it exploded. Obviously, parts of the walls survived, but most of the structure of the church was destroyed, and immediately the local ones started building a twin chapel to the first one they had previously built here.
Isn't it true that the anarchists
He would stab him in the heart. In
Yes.
the heart. He would kill the Antichrist. You see?
Yes.
So he was there waiting for that moment, or before the Holy Father was very close to him, and Archbishop from the United States, he noted it, and he knew karate, so he gave him his shot. And and then the guards came, but after Archbishop Marcinkus himself was the one that hit him, you see? And he spent nearly 10 years in prison in Spain. For that, his grace is now in the hospital.
It's like the nun who got Aliaga.
Yes.
She was the one who got him down.
A nun?
Nun, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she tackled him. What was that?
And the Holy Father went to visit Aliaga in prison.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's what he said.
If the good Lord will grant the thing by Francisco are there inside this church, as I said, tomorrow we will go inside in the morning. But if you come above the main door, there is the kind of neat that there's lots of that will there's not everybody married out there and she's holding rosary. But there's much more about it. What about American monks from Providence, Louisiana, correct. And
Father
he traveled from the United States to
There's nothing wrong with the camera.
way that he stuck the rosary to the palm of the hand of the Virgin Mary with a kind of deep pin. So when you have a little wind blowing, you see that the rosary swings. On the sides, on these archways, there are different saints of different sizes on top. They have only one thing in common, obviously, other than they lived in different historical periods. They came from different countries. They were members of different religious orders or religious congregations. Some of them were only decision priests, and you have male and female saints there. You have Teresa, you have John Bosco, you have Santo Antonio de Lisboa, you have Saint Benedict, different ones. Saint Francis of Assisi is there too. Saint John Maria Vianney, a lot of Teresa Avila, Teresa the Little Flower. And the reason why all of them are there, it's throughout their lives, either because of their deeds or because of their preaching or even because of their writings, they were called and recognized by the Church as being apostles of the Virgin Mary. And this is the reason why all of them are represented here. The same way that this morning, when we saw the Stations of the Cross, I said that before we built in 1959 the huge way of the Stations of the Cross, the only ones we had were the ones in brown tile panels that you can see on both sides of the archways. And we keep doing those Stations of the Cross, especially with handicapped pilgrims, with children, with people that for some reason cannot walk very long distances. We do those right here. We gave this church the name of the Church of Our Lady of the Rosary of Fatima because if you remember, several times people were pressing the little shepherds for them to ask this lady what her name was. And this is the reason why the lady told in September to Lucia, on my last apparition of October, which is going to be the one of October, I'm going to tell you who I am. And that's when the Virgin Mary said on October the 13th, I am the Lady of the Rosary. I want you to keep praying the Rosary every single day. And this is the reason why we come here above all to honor Our Lady of the Rosary, Fatima. And this church was in honor to Our Lady of the Rosary of Fatima. If you look on the right-hand side of the arches, there is a black and golden nativity over there. In the back of that nativity, there is a white wall. On that wall, that's where you have the Adoration Chapel. The Blessed Sacrament is there for adoration from 7 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock p.m., okay, because we are doing the winter time. Anytime during the day or at night until 7 o'clock p.m., you have that chapel opened. In between 10 o'clock p.m. and 7 o'clock in the morning of the next day, we have a community of sisters that are in charge for permanent adoration to the Blessed Sacrament, but they close their doors to the public. This long building you see to the right-hand side with the black roof is the rectory of the shrine, is the house, we call it the House of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. There's a huge entrance on the opposite side, and other than being the rectory, they provide accommodation to pilgrims that come to Fatima, not necessarily Portuguese pilgrims, but above all...
A house for priests too.
Exactly, because we live with the great help of foreign priests that come and offer their work on the service of the Shrine of Our Lady of Fatima. Otherwise, we could not provide confessions in different languages to all the different pilgrims we receive here. And while they stay in Fatima, they stay accommodated over there as well.
Also, Bishop Alberto Cosme do Amaral the antecessor of Bishop Seraphim. When he retired, he lived there. He died on the 7th of October, 2005, exactly the same day that we were approved in Rome.
Wow.
Okay, this is his date of
You must have been happy about
time.
that.
Yes, so that's another important feature to see that he died that same day, the day that the decree was issued. You see, the day of Our Lady of the Rosary. That was the day. He was a very mystical person, very shy, but very profound. He was a saint. I have no doubt, about that. And he had to deal with the major problems of Fatima during his incumbency as bishop, including the major problems of the WAF too at that moment, you see. So he had suffered a lot, you see. But he had the great day when John Paul II came to this same square to give thanks to Our Lady for her intervention, and John Paul II gave the bullet that was used against him, and as you know, it is in the crown of Our Lady at the Chapel of the Apparitions, and there Bishop Seraphim pronounced the most important homily that he ever pronounced, where in front of the Holy Father, that he was a martyr because he had experienced martyrdom, although by a miraculous intervention from heaven, he was preserved of death. But he shed his blood like the martyrs for Jesus Christ. You see? So the blood of the Holy Father shed at the assassination in May was a mystery. It was a very profound and spiritual homily, you see, in which by that shedding of the blood of the Holy Father, he participated in the mystery of the passion and death of Jesus Christ, and by that he was reconciling East and West. And that is why it was in some way needed the shedding of the blood of the Holy Father to unite eventually in the day,
The Orthodox and the Catholic Church.
in the day the good Lord wants the unity of Christians will be achieved between East and West. And he related that to the assassination attempt.
And do you know what's going to be the bridge between the
Yes.
East and the West?
Yes.
The Blessed Virgin Mary.
Yes.
Our Lady is going to cause the two churches to come back together again in unity of sacraments and governance. When you watch, it'll be in our lifetime.
There are some liberal theologians who are really confused, and they say that Mary is the obstacle. On the contrary, she is the bridge.
She's going to be the bridge, exactly.
Unity.
Every time a liberal
between East
theologian
and
tells
West.
you Mary's going to be an obstacle, you can laugh all the way home. Because she will be a bridge.
And the Holy Father, when he came in 1991,
No, when it came in 1982, he stood here on this side, but for one reason. These buildings like they are now were not yet built at the time.
oh, but 91?
1991, he slept over there.
That's
In
right.
1982,
Yeah,
he
that's
slept
right.
there, and
That
in
way.
2000, he slept over there.
I see. Yeah. See, I only saw him 91.
But
I
in
didn't see
82,
the other.
the building was not
Was
yet
not.
this one. Was
I see.
another one we previously had on
The other house is called Our Lady of the Sorrows,
Sorrows, yeah.
which is also one of the visions of the 13th of October.
We stayed in there in 97 when the University of Portugal had their conference.
And we provide accommodation for when we have the annual meeting of the bishops here. They stay accommodated over there. On that house, we mainly
Lay people there. I thought it was strangers. All
and
the
six pilgrims also.
He likes to renew things, you see. We should not be in such a negative attitude, of saying that, well, this building, why they destroyed to create a new one. Because, well, we have to renew, and if the idea is to bring more people, to give protection from wind, from rain, like the roof that they created over the little chapel. Well, if it is for the good sake of people and will help more people to come,
Well, I wasn't being
welcome.
negative.
No, I'm not saying you.
To the restaurant.
No, I'm not saying you, but
Yeah, it's a big change.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying I have heard many commentaries in the
So
past.
do I, so do I.
And it's not important at all, because the important thing is, even with the Church of the Holy Trinity, many criticisms
Oh, yes.
about that design.
Starting in Portugal and starting I must say.
America, why does that statue only?
When she was still alive. Now we have to wait 5 years to open the process of.
Oh, that's because they are beatified. Oh, that,
Because they are beatified.
it's not just a
They are
statue.
meant to be venerated now, because they are beatified.
Yes, only when the Holy Father blessed them, we place those statues over there.
Oh,
The two
okay.
statues of Bishop Shane, we can't move it. We're not even going to move his body to a public place, because you can't start veneration until they are beatified. Yeah, he is, but we gotta get him out of there. You can't. How many people can go down there? Nobody can go down there. You gotta get him out, that's for sure. Yeah, that's the whole.
I work with a nurse who married, the co-aunt married the son.
She had something
And
to put some water in.
She married.
Nothing in it. But in Dome with Crotches, there's the big hall I have to show you. For 400 people it holds? Yes. We'll go look at it. You'll like it. It's nice.
You tried to get me, huh?